Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to the Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2021 Developer Dynasty here on our Twitch channel for Wolverine Studios. We are very excited to be with you tonight as we are just a little bit more than 24 hours into First Access, which has gone very, very smooth. Right from the start, very few reports of anything, mostly just suggestions and asks that I'm getting so far. But we're going to get into that on this stream here. I want to thank all of our followers who are following the channel, including our newest follower, Ultimo Big Truck. I love that name, Ultimo Big Truck. Thank you for following us, and huge thanks, as always, to our subscribers who, through their support, whether it's financial on their own or by using their free monthly subscription. If you have Twitch linked to your Amazon Prime account, you get a free monthly sub if you didn't know that. And you have to renew it every single month. You can use it on any channel you want, and we appreciate those who use it on this channel. That supports us financially for doing the streams as well. So thank you to everybody who follows and subs to our channel. Of course, I'm going to put in the chat box right now. Don't forget, you can pre-order right now as part of our First Access program. You can pre-order Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2021 exclusively at wolverinestudios.com. When you pre-order, there's a coupon code in the web store, so you can get a coupon, so you'll get a deal on the full price of the game. You'll get your order immediately sent to you with instructions on how to download the latest beta builds, and you also will be eligible for a free key on Steam when the game is launched there. So if you really, you like the game on Steam or whatever, pre-order it now. You'll save money, and you'll get the Steam key in the end anyways. So it'll be good to go. And if you have any questions about our First Access program, in the web store, there's a link to the blog which explains what First Access is, why we do it, what we expect during it. And, it can tell you all about the First Access process for this game, because the game is so stable and, so far along. We're going to have a very short First Access period, probably only through the end of the month. So there's not a lot of time for you to go and get that pre-order in if you want to. I see Cards and GTM 30 in the chat. Good evening, guys. If anybody has any questions, obviously we have a bunch of people who have First Access now, and they've been playing. So if you have questions, anything you want to talk about, feel free. I'm going to hit some of the things I'm working on. As you can see in the corner here, I'm on build 9.0.21, so this is the 21st build of the process. The build that's available to everybody currently right now is 9.0.20. So this is the next build that's being worked on, and it'll be released in a day or two. So you can kind of see what's coming here. Blazer Taz, Coolest Jedi, welcome to you guys. Glad to see you here in the chat. So, as I said, there really haven't been much in the way of bug reports, or certainly nothing like that so far. You can see in our forums, that's where the people can post whatever if they're having an issue or if they have a suggestion or something like that. There's a First Access forum on our website, and that's open to the public, so you can see for yourself what's going on. But there have been some internal requests as well as some external requests for things. So let's talk about some of those things that are changing. The first one is a big one. I spent a lot of time doing this, and I put an explanation of this in the forums. I'll make an explanation here and kind of explain what's going on. Originally, the rating scale was a 1 to 10 option and a 1 to 100 option. Well, for people who don't know, the players in college basketball are rated so that they can move directly to the pro game. So that means that there are not typically going to be players rated in college basketball 2021 that are like 90s and 100s, because that's basically like, if I said to somebody, if you had LeBron and you put him in this game, that's that would be the outcome of having players who are rated in the 90s. So they are designed to play in this game with the engine is built around players having lower ratings overall, with the vast majority of them not being good enough to either to even get drafted in the pro game, or let alone play and do anything there, as is the case for most college basketball players. So what the prior 1 to 100 scale was showing was basically the coach's view of that rating. So most of the players are in that 10 to 30 range maybe, and every once in a while you'll see some guys who have some 40s or 50s or 60s, maybe even a 70, something here and there. But you're not going to see 80s, 90s, or 100 under that. If you use the 1 to 10 scale, that adjusts the ratings to a scale that covers 1 to 10, so that somebody who might be a 60 or 65 in scoring, they might be a 9 on that 1 to 10 scale, because it adjusted it to make it make sense. Otherwise, you'd be looking at a league of everybody with like 1s and 2s and 3s, and there would be no distinction between players that way, and everybody would be like, why is everybody rated a 1? So what I've done here is I've added what I'm calling the 1 to 100 adjusted scale and the 1 to 100 real scale. So if you use the adjusted scale, it's going to do the same thing as it does with 1 to 10. It's going to take the ratings that the game uses internally, and it's going to adjust them up to the 1 to 100 range. So this way you will see players who are in the 90s and 80s and things like that. But you will not, if you go to edit the players, and let me show you, I have a league created so I can show you this. But if you go to edit the players, you're going to see different ratings, far different ratings than what you're being shown. If you use the 1 to 100 real scale, it's going to show you what it did before on the 1 to 100. Okay, so if you use 1 to 100 adjusted, it's going to adjust everybody to this kind of overall scale. And so I'll show you on this league with Durham, I tried to choose a good team so we'd see high ratings, and this is still being worked out to some degree. This is very rough here, as you can see that, but you'll see that there are, I just for practice purposes in doing this, I was just doing it on kind of a 10-point scale. The overall will have everything will have normal 73, 62s, 44, stuff like that, but you can see now that there is a distribution of these players that kind of fit this 1 to 100 scale better. Whereas you can see, Phil Mansell, it rates him a 90 in scoring. But if I was to go to the commissioner office where you can edit the players, we'll see that his rating is certainly not a 90 in scoring. So we'll pull him up, and his scoring rate is actually 52 for the purposes of the game. So keep in mind, if you use this adjusted scale and you try to edit players, if you edit them to be like a 90 in scoring, it's going to put back somebody who is like an NBA All-Star scorer. You're going to put a James Harden, a Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, guys who have enormous scoring ability at the pro level. You're going to make them on a college team here if you do that. So just keep that in mind, that if you do edit the ratings, now the vast majority of people never even look at the screen. They don't edit the ratings. They don't mess around with this kind of stuff. And that's why it's placed in the commissioner screen, because that way you don't even see it most of the time unless you're actually going to look for it. But that's been added, and we'll kind of tweak it through the beta to make sure that the calculations are coming out the way we want to. But that was a big ask from I know there's a college league that's starting up that had that as an ask that was asked on the forum. And that's what First Access is about. I'm giving you the opportunity to see the game before it's finished, before we consider it finalized. And if you have feedback and things that I can do that aren't like too overly crazy or work intensive and stuff like that, I'll do it. I mean, I'll do as much as I possibly can for people. And we talked about the famous suggestion list that was 250 some suggestions that was compiled by Point Guard. So many of those got entered here, and some of them are small suggestions. They're not like a new feature you talk about. It's just something you'll notice, and maybe a link in the emails. Like when you run the emails for the summer camps or something like that. I don't know if this one does. So the summer camps, or the summer camp emails now list the top 5 guys right here for you to click on and look at, even though they're listed down here in the full list. But the all camp team players get noticed up here. So it's just small suggestions like that. Stuff like, I will implement anything that makes sense and that I can do in the short period of time we have left. So if you have suggestions, that's why we do the developer dynasties. That's why we take do the first access program, because I'm listening and I'm trying to provide everybody with the best experience we possibly can. I know Cards had a comment in here. If he links with Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball, does the scoring potential from commission mode carry over, basically? Yeah, the ratings are created they don't carry over necessarily exactly. As they move into the pros, they'll get their own set of potentials there, where it could tweak those, especially when it tweaks them for if they're going to be a boom or bust player, which is totally at random in the league. But it gives you an idea of how they're going to move over. So, that guy with a 54 scoring or whatever, as he moves into the pros, if his scoring rating in the pros is 54, he'll be a decent scorer, maybe a 12, 13 point per game scorer type guy. Certainly not an all-star, but of course he can grow with his potential and things like that. And he could even grow beyond his potential if he's designated as a boom player. He could also, fall short of his potential if he's designated a bust player. So that's all on the ratings. I wanted to kind of point that out because that was a big thing for a lot of people I know. And that will be added in, as you can see, to the next build. Something else that's being added in on the build is on the daily schedule screen. Up here, typically, this is late in the season, so there's only 2 games upcoming to show. But it will show the upcoming 3 games. I've also added another label here, which will be colored in your team color, that shows your record. And you'll see as I'll try to sim a week here. As the game will sim, you'll still get the pop-ups in the lower right corner about your particular games, and whether you won or lost. It's red if you lost, green if you won, and it will show you your top performers from that game in case the sim had moved past too fast for the game that you were viewing. But the upcoming games and your record up in that upper corner there, they will now update as it goes along. And it will update your record. It will also update the upcoming games as you sim. So I don't know if this one, if I hit an exception here. Oh, there we go. So you'll see at the top the upcoming games. As they get played, they will change, and the records will update for your the teams that you're going to play, and your record will be updating as well. So again, that's something that the internal team had been kind of pounding the table on for several weeks, and I just hadn't gotten around to it. But it was not a major fix or a major addition, something like that. And I was happy to add something like that in there as well. So again, if you view a screen and you're and over the course of playing the game, you're on a screen and you say, hey, I wish this screen did this, or I wish there was a button here for this, or I wish this changed or something like that. Make a note of it while you play, and then post it in the first access forum, because that's I will take that, and I will if the suggestion is reasonable and doable, and the information really isn't like it's not like, well, you could just do this instead. I will try to implement it, especially as we're going through first access here. And I'm running in the development mode, so things run a little slower. They get hung up sometimes. I'll try to stop the simulation so we can move on to some other things. And there you'll see in the bottom corner there, that pop-up that comes up when you play a game. That's still in there. I think that information is very useful. I thought that maybe could replace the record on the screen, but other people felt differently about that, and they wanted to see that record up there at all times, so we made that adjustment. And because the things work the same in Pro Basketball, I will make another update to Pro Basketball so that I'll add that in there in the update for 10.6 there. The 10.5 update for Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 2021 was released yesterday. So if you have the Pro game, make sure you go to the forums and grab that update, especially if you're planning on using the linked leagues, because there's more teams in college basketball 2021 than there are in 2020, and you need that update to Pro Basketball to handle the extra teams. So if you're running a linked league between 21 to 21, you need to have that game. And it's always good to make sure you have both games updated anyways, but you'll definitely need to have the update to the Pro game for that. As I go down my list of other changes here while I try to stop the simulation, if you've got questions, if you've got comments, throw them in the chat box here, and I will be happy to talk about them. Even if you have just comments about playing the beta builds and something you like or how much fun you're having, even that kind of stuff is helpful for people who are viewing the stream now, or they're going to view it later on Twitch or on our YouTube channel. To see other people talking good about the game is always a good thing for them who are maybe new to the game and they're not really sure about it and stuff like that. There is an issue that was noticed on the player cards in the build that's out there right now, trying to drop players from your ad or from your call and watch list. That's been corrected for the next build upcoming. Right now you can drop them from the list if you're using the main recruiting screen where you're looking at everything as a whole there, but on the player card it wasn't working properly, so that is going to be fixed up as well. There was also a report that there was that the league or the game previews here were a little off on the over-unders. I've tried to correct that. It's, first of all, the favorite and over-under means absolutely nothing in the game itself. It was just meant for fun. In the pro game, it works a lot better, I think, because the teams are fairly equal, across the pro league. You don't have truly a huge disparity in teams, and it's a little bit easier to kind of peg what the total points scored might be. For the college game, that's not quite the case. So I'm trying to work on making the over-under better, even though it means absolutely nothing to the game itself. It's just for fun. I tried to make it in the next build to be a little bit closer to what you might expect. So that will be something that that you can take care of. Let me show you what I was talking about in the recruit card, and while I'm loading that up, I see Card says he's been playing pretty much nonstop since he's got it, having a blast. That's really good to hear, Cards. I know, that's what I like to hear. I like people who said they've got it. They don't want to even put it down. They want that one more turn factor, which I think this game totally has. And Cards also says, after the huge upgrades from last year, I'm still surprised how much fine-tuning and quality of life changes made their way into this version. His favorite is the new player attributes. His least favorite is that he's terrible at recruiting guys with good attributes. Well, the good thing is you can do something about that, probably. You can improve that. But that is absolutely what I was talking about. I was talking about that list of 250 some suggestions. Not all of them on the list made it, of course. Some were really good, some were not so good, some were, kind of things to think about, and we might still make a couple more changes based on some of those. But a lot of them are just like fine tuning things. That's the stage the game is at. It's so good, it's so solid that we're just looking to fine tune things and make them better, make them display better, make them more meaningful. Like we did with the pipeline explanation on the coaching page, and I'll show that up since I mentioned it. But here's where the drop call list and drop watch list was not functioning properly. That will function properly now. There's also an issue that the parental control bar was not really functioning properly either. That has been corrected as well. So you will see this. And for anybody who doesn't know what this is doing, the recruits have their own info about themselves, and they also have this parent control factor. When you find a recruit who has a higher amount of control in the situation, you want to look at what's most important to the parents when you make that visit. So when you go to visit and you choose your pitch, you got to know if it's a house where the parents are kind of running the show, and in this case, these parents want their son to stay close to home. Location is the highest thing for them, and they want a program with good facilities as well. He is from Nevada, and I was running Idaho State, I think, in this one. So, Idaho isn't too far from Nevada, so that might give me a chance at this player. But if it was just up to him so far, all I've gotten out of him is that he's kind of middle of the road on coach discipline. So that, you can understand what that parental control was using, and why it's important that we get it working properly again. I mentioned the pipeline feature that has been in the game for a long time, but never really, explained that well. So there is this pipeline progression button now on the coach's homepage, which will tell you how many recruits you've landed from each state over your history, and it tells you that once you've gotten 10 players from a state, you'll have a recruiting pipeline, and that recruiting pipeline follows you. So as you go from job to job and you change schools or you change states even, that recruiting pipeline will be useful to you there. Cards asked about the parents' pitch info is only unlocked by the AI coach calls. Nope, you can get info on the players, on the parents, through both putting them on the call list. That's important. You can also get some information by using the text feature on the player cards. You can chat about things and ask some questions about the family. So that will give you some information as well, to some insight about the parents. It does mention about attending your school. That is a small factor in the game, as well as if it randomly assigns them an alma mater. If it happens to be your school, if it wasn't one of the ones in the game, it just means they went to a different school that doesn't have a D1 college basketball program. But if it does, there are parents that want their kids to go to the same school they went to. So that does have a factor. Every once in a while, you might land on a situation where you can recruit a kid that maybe is normally out of your league, but the parents really want him to go to the same school that they went to. So, this kind of stuff is important. There are so many layers to recruiting in this game that, even the guys who've been playing this game for a decade, there's still things that, they don't know completely how they work. And there's just things to learn and to check out. All this info is there for a reason, and it helps you recruit better and make better decisions, including the new things we've added over, the last year or this year with the interest labels, and the interest labels also now showing up on your top 10 list. So, kind of where you stand against other schools, if you know that information. playing at a small school, I did not purchase the premium reports to get that sort of information, but that information is there in the game. Checking through my list, that is probably so far, I think, everything that I've been working on since yesterday. When we had the release, they released everything that I just kind of talked about and went over is stuff I've done in the last 24 hours or so to continue to plus the game and either correct things that weren't working properly or add more things in. And the ratings thing was a big one. So that one is in. It's going to need a little bit of work through First Access, I think, to really make it to really nail down that 1 to 100 adjusted scale. But with so many people who wanted that, or said they wanted that, or said they really wanted to play in that sort of realm, I hope that they will, when we get this build out, that they'll grab it and they'll start going through and kind of seeing how that fits for them. In the pro game, there's not the need for the adjusted scale because there are guys who are rated 90 or something like that because they're the top pro players. So the pro game doesn't need that adjusted scale, but I do see how it works and makes sense here in the college game. Last thing I'm going to get to tonight, we're still working on the league import here because there are a different number of teams in the game now. There's not going to be the opportunity to straight import the league. So what I'm trying to do is get it so that I can pull your league in, add 4 more teams to the league, which will be fictional. And then I think what's going to happen is that it's going to have to take your league and adjust it to the modern setting. So if you are planning on importing a league, we're still trying to make that happen, but be aware that you're going to have teams that get moved around in conferences to match what they are currently doing now. And you will also have 4, if you use the real world mod, you'll have 4 fictional teams that you'll have to rename on your own and stuff like that. But we're still working to try to make that happen. And of course, I mean, a huge thank you to NCAA Hoops, who I think already has the first build of his real world mod out on the forums already. These guys in our mod community are so good. They're always ready right when we're ready to go into the beta, first access mode. They're ready with their, kind of first beta builds of their leagues, their mods and stuff like that. So huge thanks to him and everybody else in the community who really plays a huge role in making our games even better. Because obviously a lot of people like the real world features and these mods, which you can download for free because they're just shared by members of the community. I certainly appreciate the people who do that. And one final note on First Access, as we always say in the First Access process, is that it is still a beta. Okay, so we still do expect you to hit some snags here and there, even though there haven't been many in the first 30 hours or so right out of the gate. There is the possibility you're going to hit snags. We ask you to report them and understand that we're playing betas here and we will correct things and stuff like that. And there's also always the possibility that if there's a really good suggestion or something that comes along and I have to make structural changes to the code, you might have to restart a league. So don't start playing your forever leagues now. Don't start your online leagues or stuff like that until we're out of First Access, because there is the possibility that things will have to be reset and old leagues may become not capable of being used any longer. Card said and Wayne say that the mod is out from Hoops and it works and it's been flawless so far. The new coach's info is crazy in depth. And Kid Coffee Black says, if a high school senior doesn't find a team or a player that doesn't sign, is it possible for them to become JUCOs in future seasons? That's been suggested to me multiple times. I think kind of every year somebody has that idea, and I really like the idea. The issue with it is storing that player kind of somewhere off the radar. And I need to find an effective way to do that. So that's probably not something that's going to happen for 2021, but it might in the future. 2021, you got to remember, we have 357 teams of 15 players. There's a lot of players, plus 5,000 recruits at any one time. There's a lot of players, a lot of data being stored. So I always weigh when we're adding things like that, what is going to be the gain for the feature versus the load on the data and load times and sim times and stuff like that. So it's something that's definitely on the list of things I'm considering, but probably not. We're going to add to this one. That's probably going to take a little bit of thought, and maybe we can do it in 2022. So that's going to do it for me here tonight with our Developer Dynasty. I want to thank everybody who came out. I want to thank everybody who has already pre-ordered. We had fantastic pre-order numbers on the first day, even better than last year's, and last year's were phenomenal. So the game, the community is growing. The best thing you can do as being part of this community is to tell somebody else about these games. Send them a link. Send them a link to the free demos. If you're interested in this game and you want to see the demo, there will be a free demo when the game is officially launched, which will probably be like March 2nd. We kind of trying to wait to see what approval date we get from Steam so we can time them together. But introduce the game to somebody, whether it's a person put the links on your Facebook or Twitter, make a tweet about the games, or just in general, just say, hey, if you're looking for a fantastic simulation game for basketball or football or golf, send them our way. Let them get at the free demo, answer questions for them, and kind of spread the word. Spread the word about our company, about what we do, and about our games. And as the community grows, the games only get better because we get more feedback. We get different feedback, like the ratings thing that we talked about here. With the desire to have a 1 to 100 rating. Somebody I talked to mentioned, this is what the they call them the 2K crowd that they're used to, and so when they see the game, they don't want to play the game with 1 to 10 ratings, and that the 1 to 100 real ratings just weren't cutting it for them because there were so many players that were in the 10 to 30 range and nobody's above 65 or 70, and it just didn't feel right. So that's why we made this adjustment, because we're trying to expand to a broader audience and give you, as always, the most options possible to play the game in the way that you want to, the way that it feels best for you. So if you have suggestions, absolutely throw them at us. We'll do everything we can with them to do the best that we can to implement them now, or perhaps in the future. Like we talked about, that 250 plus suggestion list that didn't come all in like one day. Point Guard just compiled those for months and months and months of suggestions and stuff like that for the future builds. So anytime you're making a suggestion, if we see it, it gets cataloged, and it might be something for the future, even if we can't do it right now. So thank you everybody coming out tonight. Remember, go to WolverineStudios.com. That is the only place that you can pre-order Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2021 through our first access program. You will save money, and you will be playing this game right now on the latest build that we have posted there. Plus, you'll get that complimentary Steam key if you want it when the game is released on Steam, if you prefer to play there. So that is WolverineStudios.com. Full release will be at our website and as on Steam as well. So thank you everybody for coming out tonight. Thank you to our followers, and of course, most importantly, our subscribers who are supporting our efforts here on Twitch. We will see you. We'll be back next week. We'll have another Developer Dynasty stream with kind of a wrap up of the week's additions and changes and things like that. And that'll probably it might be the last one. We'll see as we get ready for the final release of Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2021. So as I said, you don't have a lot of time during first access in this case to pre-order. So don't wait. Go do it now before you forget. and we get into March, and you really, really, really want some college basketball game, and first access is over, and we got the full price going on after that point. So save yourself a couple of bucks now. And remember, if you order from us, we always try to send you an offer the next time for an upgrade, a special upgrade price that has a bigger savings than the general pre-order price. So that's always an incentive I like to remind everybody about. If you purchase from us, it does help us more than if you purchased on Steam. That's why we try to give you the Steam key, even if you really want it on Steam, so that you can still play it where you want to, but you supported us directly through our website. And if you do that, we kind of make a list of the purchasers. We have the ability to create a list of the people who purchase directly from us, and we send them special offers and things like that. So when you get those emails from us, make sure you accept that we can market to you, and don't unsubscribe from our email list, or else you won't get those offers in the future. And we really don't send them out that often, so it's not like you're going to get a ton of emails from us. But just something to think about when you see those emails from us. So that'll do it. Thanks everybody for coming tonight. We hope to see you back on our Twitch channel tomorrow night at 8 o'clock for our WSBA stream. That is our online Drafty Sports Pro Basketball 2021 league that we're running. So we hope to see you for some fun tomorrow night. And go get this game, go pre-order, and start playing and start building your dynasty right now. We will see you all next week. Have a good one.